Down. I'd just like to say welcome Nathan, Old Man Built, with us. And Nathan does work with Tesla coils, resonating circuits and systems, and plasma. And what you are talking about, as I lose track of my thoughts, it's amazing. And the 440 versus the 432, is it that they intentionally took us off of this natural, coherent, like you're saying, aether correction, because by disharmonizing, discoherenting the oscillation of our sound, what we're listening to, what we're broadcasting, is that what disconnected humanity from the abilities of, like you're saying, it's quantum coherence, of like telekinesis, of your dream state, of your soul memory, essentially?
Yeah, 100%. It is an agenda, and there's a lot to say about that. But ultimately, if you really want to reduce it into simple understanding, just know that the goal of the false matrix overlords is to make you as incoherent as possible. And your goal in this video game of reality is to become as coherent as possible in your body, in your mind, in your spirit, in your music. Coherence is power. And the controllers of the world do not want you to have that power. So they will do whatever they can to discombobulate your connection to source and to coherent. So yeah, so this is part of what I'm doing is part of the agenda to empower people to take back control over the coherence of every single system of their reality, because that is where true power lies. Internal stability, internal coherence. That's when your light radiates like a ball lightning, when you become coherent inside of your own body. And the number one way to do this as a human being is to start meditating. Really, meditation increases your light quotient more than anything else. It allows all of your systems to come back into coherence, back into balance.
You have to realign your chakra.
You do, and it's all of the systems of your biology. Just like those images I played in the beginning, the incoherent, chaotic, crazy system is literally what a human being's field looks like when they're stressed, when they're anxious, when they're confused, when they're overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. But the good thing is there's an easy solution. The easy solution is stillness. It's coming back into the center and meditating. And yeah, I'm very passionate about this topic.
I absolutely love that, as am I. I always speak about how you got to reach the stillness, right? The quiet, the center point of your own coherent consciousness to connect then to source, and from that stillness be able to go out, right? And it's so bang on with exactly what you're doing and what you're talking about. And that by putting us onto the 440 hertz, it's created this static field, and you're literally doing God's work by putting us back onto the 432.
Yeah. And there are many people, so many people out there who have the same divine mission of adjusting, correcting the tuning systems back into coherent quantum structures. And yeah, I just love this whole topic. But the most important thing when it comes to music, the thing that's even more important than the tuning system is
Absolutely.
the intention. The intention is actually number one in the hierarchy of importance, because the intention, if somebody has a coherent, strong, divine intention, that intention can override any quantum incoherence of the tuning system that they've used to make the music. 100%. So this isn't to ever say that anyone should feel like they shouldn't make music because they don't have access to the, coherent tuning system instruments. Like, your intention is more important because it's so powerful. It's the most powerful thing. And people don't realize that their intention has the power to shift the quantum structure of an object. Like, just by thinking about something, you actually increase the amount of photons and the light quotient in something. And that's like, scientifically proven how powerful our directed thoughts are. It's our currency. Coherence equals currency. Coherence is your currency. The more coherent you are, the more light your body and your soul like hold, the more light you radiate. So
This goes right back
coherence.
to Oregon energy, and the written word or any kind of word has a massive effect on everything. It's the intention of the word.
Yeah. And yeah, so just like with music, or even with cooking and food, there are multiple layers of the equation that influence the potency of that creation. All of the variables are important, and the more of the variables you have in coherence, the more power that creation is going to yield. For example, if not only you have the coherent tuning system in your music that you're using to make the actual music with these coherent ratios, but let's say you also have the coherent divine intention that is 100% in purity and in unconditional love and compassion, and the knowingness that everyone all comes from the same force. So when you have all of these variables, it's a more powerful creation.
But it's like if you sit and listen to Mozart or something like that, when they had the correct tuning in all of the musical instruments, the power of the energy going through your body at that time is much more than it is today when they change all the frequencies. Your actual essence of it comes out and radiates.
It's more coherent field, right?
Hell yeah. So yeah, from we're doing all of the layers. We're trying to get coherence from the micro, which would be these micro tonality systems, to the macro, which would be the intention. So it's all about getting all of the systems back into coherence.
Exactly.
So,
Do you have more slides? You were saying you're going to get a bit into structured water.
Yeah, I will. I don't know how much time you want to get into this, but I do have some stuff I can get into with water.
Please.
Okay, so yeah, this was just some interesting water experiments I've been doing lately. And I absolutely love the work of Veda Austin, who does incredible experiments with her water freezing technique. And I tried the technique on a couple different frequency combinations to see what would happen. So do you guys want to see what happened?
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay, so let's see. So yeah, basically I just wanted to see if the water would shift in any way if I applied different frequencies applied with either coils or a tuning fork. And again, this experiment was super brief. Like it was just like one day, and I just kind of wanted to see really quick what would happen. So this is by no means a legitimate or in-depth experiment. It's just a really fun,
it's legitimate, just not in depth.
Yeah, it's just a really cool, fun activity. Okay, so a couple of different experiments I did was using the electromagnetic rodent coil, variation of a rodent coil, I should say, because yeah, electromagnetic coil, we'll call it.
Gotcha. Coil, vortex coil.
So yeah, and then I used a tuning fork, and then I used the plasma field from Quantify. And I know you guys are studying about plasma, and I'm interested in delving into that with you in a little bit. But yeah, in the future, it would be cool to check out the mineral compound ratios, calcium, magnesium, sulfur, and also check out the light treatment with different types of light, pulsed light waves at specific oscillatory rates, lasers and projecting geometries into the water, and then additional plasma treatments like violet ray cathode, plasma gun, which I have both of those right here, but I never did the experiment. But yeah, this is just some notes. Yeah, this is just some notes about the project, about exactly what I did. So yeah, just put the coil in the freezer. Yeah, and then so yeah, I actually put the coil in the freezer. Excuse me.
Nice.
Okay. So here's just a couple examples of different things that happened. So the first one on the left, control sample, tap water, no application. You can see it's very chaotic. Spring water sample, no application. And then at the bottom, I did a type of water with the coil in the freezer. And you can see it's getting a little more structured. I know it's kind of small. It's kind of hard to see, but basically the structure, it's getting
the EZ zones, essentially the exclusion zones back and forth.
Yeah. And then, type 2. So a couple different types of water that were filtered in different ways that I can get into if anyone wants later. But another type of water. So this is beautiful, much more structured. And type 3 water, as you can see, is that these ridges are forming in these beautiful coherent wave patterns in the water. And yeah, and then the
like wings almost. It's beautiful.
Yeah, super cool. And then type 3 water was not only 432, but then I used a combination of frequencies to get a little more dynamics to see if that would increase the fractality in any way. And it looks like there's a little bit more ridges, but I mean, it's so hard to tell. And, there's a million variables that influence these types of experiments. Number one is the consciousness of the scientist.
Right? Maximoto's work right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my intention, would influence the results. So being, again, in a coherent state is important, and trying not to like project my will onto the outcome, but trying to project the truth to come forth in the most authentic way.
I get what you're saying with that, right? Because it's like you don't want to overly interfere. You want the effects of the experiment without your conscious input, sort of thing.
Totally. And yeah, I have such a yeah.
You're structuring the water based on the mineral content then.
So for these particular examples, there was no mineral content ratios added, but in the last slide, I meant for future research, that's something I really want to experiment with, is having like, X amount of calcium, X amount of magnesium, and then zinc, and having them in different ratios and seeing what influences the coherence of the water from the mineral standpoint, but also the frequency standpoint as well. And I know this is using a coil, but in the next experiment, I used a tuning fork. So the tuning fork, it was pretty much the exact same application. And 100% of the time, I had a lot more examples, but I just posted a couple. But I mean, 100% of the time, if you take a tuning fork and you put it in your water, you are going to create coherence in the water, period. This is like 100% confirmed in every case.
It's amazing.
So, I mean, I think that's just like a general great thing to do, right? Is tune up your water before you drink it.
You got rid of all the inconsistencies of the coil.
Yes, speaking of water.
Right? Water break.
And of course, as Masaru Emoto did many experiments about the energy you put into the water through your thoughts and words is going to shift the coherence of the water as well. So if you tell the water, thank you, water, I love you, water, you're actually going to shift the molecular properties of the water into coherence, and that coherence is going to go into your body and radiate that blueprint of coherence into your cells. So it's a good thing to do.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Are you really in tune with like nature when you go out to it and things like that? Does that affect you in like a major way compared to most people?
Yeah. And I have a lot to say about that at the end, because it relates to some of this stuff I'm talking about. So we'll get back to that nature question in a sec.
It makes sense with the water and the tuning fork. It's only when your body picks up the resonance going on that you're able to portray it in that way.
That is true. And I'll just say it right here, right now. Hugging a tree is the most powerful technology known to man, other than the sun. And I have proof, and I'm going to make a video showing the proof, because basically the proof that I have shows that it uses an electromagnetic mic to detect the chaos of a human body's electromagnetic radiation. So it's a very painful confrontation when someone first listens to their own EMF field and sees how incoherent and chaotic it really is. But the good news is I have the proof that when you go outside and you hug a tree, this chaos goes from 100 to potentially 0, depending on the type of tree. And I mean, once you see this evidence, you'll never underestimate the power of walking barefooted on the earth and hugging a tree ever again in your life. And you'll see how it's hundreds of times more powerful than like a PEMF grounding mat or any of this tech that we have. It's like we have the tech outside already. So hug a tree, everyone.
I love that. As a childhood tree hugger, I'm gonna have to go hug more trees, because like I guess it's just a grounding antenna essentially, right? Like just a much larger version of walking barefoot, I would assume. What's the best type
Yeah.
of tree? What's
Oh,
the
yeah. Yeah. I was just going to get to that because that's super, super important. So, the trees with the highest level of conductivity are the trees with stripped bark that look like human skin. So, when you see the sycamore tree, that's an example. The birch tree is an example. And the beech tree is an example. So, these three trees, and there's many more that have the stripped bark. I think maybe eucalyptus, I'm not sure.
I think so.
Yeah, so if you go up to any of these trees and give it a hug, it's going to discharge all your excess electrons and neutralize your state of goodness in your body. And so that all that electric charge isn't just going to be oxidative stress that is literally stressing out your system. So, yeah.
So can I
Well,
tell you something? In dealing with Tesla coils, if you put in the wrong frequency, and that's exactly what you have to do. You have to go out, take off your shoes, you get your bare feet and put it right on the mud or bare earth in order to discharge it. Because you'll start, if you don't, you start having headaches and things like that. You'll start vomiting. And the other way is just to discharge everything and it clears you right out.
Yeah, and I feel like this is part of my life mission to get to amplify this message to humanity as well, is the importance of grounding for the longevity and the sustainability of the human body and mind functioning optimally, right? Because we surround ourselves with phones and laptops, but we don't have to demonize them. We could just create these very healthy practices that will neutralize the negative effects that are the cause of a lot of cancers and things like this. But yeah, I won't go too deep into that.
just have to hug your trees more often. And I suspect aspens and poplars have similar bark too, so might be as good there. But
There's a second side to this. You can deconstruct the water. And it just means that instead of when you do constructive water, you're putting things together and making shapes, right? But when you deconstruct it, you're pulling everything apart. So you're opening up all of the channels for flow. So that only happens like when you take a Tesla coil and you put like a wire or rod down the center and put it into the water itself, then it opens everything up. So plants grow 4 to 5 times faster. You put your hands in it, it's refreshing. It's a total different feeling than it is with the hot side of a Tesla coil on the outside, because that right there is like the static you get. The inside of it is the coherence you get from it.
Yeah, and that reminds me a little bit of the process of the water-fueled cars and the work of John Keeley, who I feel like you guys probably went down that rabbit hole many times. But I have something I wanted to say about him later on as well. But yeah, his process was, it was more about deconstructing water in a different process. So yeah, I have a cool slide I want to show you about that later. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, this was the last one in the water series.
Sorry, I'm just going to pause for 1 second before you move on from the water and show you what I've done from the opposite side in regards to super saturating water and then getting coherent geometries out of it. This is my ionic gold water where it's filled with gold, and then you're seeing the coherent exclusion zones of bubbles and then pure ice between. And I found that the gold water consistently does it over and over with that, with gold ions in it. And then I'm not sure if it's in these slides. Oops, sorry. I do zinc as well and silver. It's gonna get to it. My apologies. Nope. Sorry. Wrong folder, but I'll bring up more later. But they give completely different geometries, more of vortexes and like lightning bolts and stuff.
Whoa.
So it is
I want to see that.
Completely different on what elements you have in the water.
Yeah, totally. I can totally imagine that. And that's why I really dream of doing more experiments with different types of compounds inside of the water. But have you guys done many experiments with water in a plasma field?
That's my next step. I've held off. Okay, so we've done the one with the plasma arc with the hydrogen to helium that my friend Jeremiah did replicating for me, but I've held off doing too much plasma stuff because with producing both hydrogen, the atomic hydrogen, which sparkles, and then I'm 99.9% sure that I've also got processes where I'm creating deuterite and tritium, which are hydrogen isotopes, combined with the wrong plasma, has a potential of an H-bomb style of energy release if I mess around too much. So it's like I've held off, and then I'm going to do more controlled experiments where I know I don't have any hydrogen isotopes on my electrodes while doing it.
Yeah,
I don't want to blow up the world or myself.
Yeah.
Can I tell you something? That mandala you got right there?
Yeah.
It's a combination lock. It is literally a geometry coil in the way that it's supposed to be wired in order to make the fields that it shows on there. You're literally winding it the exact way it says. So there was a Christian mandala that I did, and the object of it is simple. There's heads on the outside, and each one of those is a post. And if you wind from post to post, but every single circle, you have to not cross the circle, right? It'll make a geometrical pattern. And every time that you do that, the ETH have an associated frequency. But if you build them 180 degrees on top of each other with non-canceling fields, you'll get a resonance between them because they'll build out like this. So that's the way the energy works in a just straight up geometry coil. And you can build layer after layer after layer into them, but they match the mandala perfectly and exactly why they were building it and the frequencies that they put into it, because it's not a coincidence that they're in there. There's the reason they put them in there for a very specific purpose for every mandala that they did.
Oh my goodness. I was just watching the YouTube, or sorry, the Instagram, TikTok of Base Forge. I don't know if you guys have seen him, and he was showing these ancient mandalas, ancient temples, and he was showing their advanced knowledge of circuit boards and electronics and how it was all encoded into the temple systems already back in the day. So basically all these temples are just giant circuit boards to generate and recept energy and distribute it into the land and the city. So yeah, I feel like
you were talking earlier about time, and you're talking about the amplitude. But the frequency equals 1 over time. So every time you create a straight form in the geometry coil, you're literally creating the frequency equals energy over distance and frequency equals energy over time. So you're literally creating the format in there as you build each one of them out. That's why one of the most powerful things that you can ever get is a magnetron, because it's a repeating frequency again and again and again, the exact same frequency. But that's exactly what the geometry coil does. So if it builds out like 5 sides to it, then you have a hexagon, and that hexagon has a very specific pattern to it and a very specific frequency based on the distance of each time you put it in there. So I just wanted to tell you that earlier, but I wasn't on.
Right. Yeah. And as we learn more about the properties of each shape based on various aspects, like the angle, the sum of the internal angles and things like this, we can start knowing like, oh wow, the ancient people already knew all of this, and we're just remembering all of it and reconnecting to this knowledge that's like it's inherent in the geometry of the thing, like the actual properties of energy. And Dan Davidson's book Shape Power is incredible for giving a very fundamental base level understanding of the properties of each shape. So each shape carries a different ability to influence the electric and magnetic field in a different way. And he's proving it. He's proving like when you have an X in the sand or an X with 2 sticks, you're actually generating a magnetic field when you intersect lines in the quantum field, like in subtle fields. Like you're actually creating a tangible shift that's measurable by magnetometers, Gauss meters, and the SQUID, the superconducting quantum interference detecting device, I think it is. So yes, it's this knowledge has been hidden for a reason, because it's power. It's power. If you know how much power you have by drawing an X on a piece of paper, then people are going to wield that power, and dark forces don't want you to have that power. So they hide it, but we're taking our power back.
Yeah, I got a question for you. We looked at Anunnaki's watch all the time, right? But it perfectly matches how you're building up flowers. Have you ever looked at that and figured out the frequencies it took to build that?
Which ones are you referring to?
So every time you see like an Anunnaki or something like that, or I forget the name of them, you see them wearing a watch, okay? And on that wristwatch,
the pedaled watch with the guys with their hand basket, the cone, and their pedal watch.
There's always a flower on the watch,
and
it's always the same amount of petals.
I think it's 8. I'm pretty sure I counted once.
I think you're right on that.
And
so have you figured out the frequencies?
It's so crazy. Drumvalo Melchizedek has a page in his book, Flower of Life, where he talks about this channeled piece of information that he received, that there was an 8-petal rose curve underneath the Sphinx. And it was exactly how you see it in the diagram from earlier, which I'm not going to try to flip back because my computer is going to freeze. But the 8-petal flower has super, super magical powers, and is seen from time and time again in all of these ancient cave painting scriptures. And now that collective consciousness is like tuning into perceiving this particular strain of geometries, now they're going to see it everywhere. Now you're going to see, oh wow, they were using the 7-petal flower in this lineage, this lineage. They were using the 5-petal flower in so many magical systems. In most of those systems, they were using it as a star, which is important to note that that is the same energy depending on, you know, certain variables of the equation. So yeah, stars and flowers.
Love it. Love it.
So relating plasma into all of this and then having it all come full circle to know that you can use frequencies to program plasma is important. But on this slide, we're just going to look at a few of the noble gases and the color of plasma that they create. So you have neon, bright orange, nitrogen, argon, helium, xenon, krypton. I think that's, I can't see what that is. I think it's carbon, air, or it might be oxygen. I can't really read it.
Air and CO2.
Okay. Yeah. So
O2,
just like becoming aware that different noble gases produce a different color when it's heated up in this form and turned into plasma, essentially. So each type of plasma can be pulsed with a different frequency to create different field effects. And that's something I've actually been researching quite a lot lately because I am borrowing the Quantify. I don't know if you can see this, but this is one of Paul Harris' devices. This glass tube has a cocktail of noble gases. So meaning like a combination of noble gases at different ratios. So it's, again, it's all about these ratios. It can't just be random hodgepodge. It has to be specific ratios of each one of these compounds, noble gases, frequencies. So yeah, tuning into ratios.
We have a guy on the channel that took his Tesla coil and we add different things to him. He put it in slow motion and you can see every single color of the rainbow in a fluorescent light bulb based on the resonance frequency of the center of the coil. Then
wow,
I can make this stuff all light up in different colors than the color that's in the tube based on where I put it next to the water and how much energy I put from the center of my coil to it. I can change every single one and look like it's on fire on one side. And then the other side, it'll just be plain as day, easy, clean. You know what I mean? But this is my wheelhouse. This is what I do right here.
Wow.
Everything with the gases, the water. I can light up mud 3 feet away on noble gases all day long. I mean, I could literally energize the water in that mud to go 3 feet away. So yeah, this is what I do right here.
So when you are generating the different colors, does your glass tubule contain a combination of many types of noble gases, or does it have?
You could do you could do different colors with the gas, right? You can go purple, yellow, orange in one.
So
right?
you're potentially transmuting what gas is in it depending on what frequency you're putting in, is what you're saying.
I'm applying magnetic pressure to it to change the frequency in it. It's a DC system pole. I'm changing the volts and amps that it's used to getting in order to change the frequency in it, in order to change the wavelength that I'm putting in it to activate the gas, is what's going on.
Okay, yeah, that's incredible to think about, because with this device, Paul Harris's Quantify, it's incredible because it enables you to put in whatever frequency or frequencies that you wish. So to hear you discuss the additional potential variables of the DC and magnetic field being able to alchemize the plasma even to even greater levels is very interesting, because then you can combine those magnetic fields with the frequencies and get interesting effects as well.
Oh yeah. Well, we work with DC Tesla coils, and I can take a cap bank and change the frequency from one end to the other. You know what I mean? Put things at resonance. I just did one at 11 feet where I just took a coil attached to nothing, put it out there, and turned on my Tesla coil 11 feet away and got it to light up light bulbs all around it. I could do it at 22 feet with a grounding rod. If I put them both in the ground, I can run the frequency right to the ground all day long.
Mm-hmm.
So, but as far as the gases are concerned, if you take what I'm doing, you can make that thing just look beautiful like a rainbow.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And you could switch it around and make it spin, because everything, like you were saying earlier, all the frequencies have a different variation of what they're doing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's the best part to see in this whole experiment, is when you start to see things spin, or you see things thin out, or one end starts on fire while the other side is nice and smooth. That right there is probably the best part of the whole show when you start switching this stuff. You'll see when you get there.
Wow. I'm so excited to see those interesting morphs, because that brings me to the next slide. And I know I'm taking a long time, but I think this is like the last. There's only one more slide after this.
Oh.
But I just had to put this in there because, okay, well, once you master coherence and stability, if and only if coherence and stability are mastered, then you may proceed to level 2 of quantum field effect mastery. Morphs, pulses, modulations. So this is what we saw earlier. Level 0, level 1, level 2. Cool morphs, bruh. Oh my gosh. Please don't tell me the morph is not going to show up. I think I have to... Sorry, this was supposed to be a video demonstrating the cool morphs. But
come on, let's
morph. It's like the best part. Come on.
Okay.
Anyone that wants to help Sheela get a new computer, you can donate to Sheela.
Yes.
We can play this video the next time we have her on. Hopefully back next week or two. Huh?
Yes. So if anyone wants to complain about the lag, you can just get me a new computer. Check out this morphs.
I'm gonna have to give you my new computer just to see it. I haven't even set it up yet.
Can you see the morphs?
A little bit. Oh, there we go.
Bit.
It's moved. There we go. It's playing now. Oh.
Yeah. So that's just a very, very, very basic morph. That's the next level, you know? So it's like there's endless levels to this. Level 100 would be making advanced multidimensional techno music, which I also do.
Really?
Heck yeah.
That's awesome.
So yeah, the morphs are like, if you're into physics, you need to understand exactly what these morphs are. And this is my absolute last slide, okay? And then I'll let you guys go. But I felt like it was like 911 important to at least tell people about the wave types: sine waves, square waves, triangle waves, sawtooth waves, and my personal favorite, which I call saw fang. And this was taken from Tom Bearden's book. These are fangs. It's from a free energy book by Tom Bearden. Okay, and it's important to note you have your initial wave. So you start with one of these waves to the left. Then you have a modulation envelope wave overlaid, which could also be any type. So we're talking a wave on top of a wave. So if you have a sine wave, you can modulate a sine wave with a square wave, with a triangle wave, with a sawtooth wave. You can take a square wave, you can modulate a square wave with a square wave. You can modulate a sine wave, or sorry, you can take a square wave and then modulate it with a sine wave. And if you want to know what that sounds like let's say a pure sine tone is ooh. A sine tone modulated with a square wave would be ooh, 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 ooh. So it's like off on 0 to 100, 0 to 100, and that's what generates a current essentially is this square wave. So this is just basic information if you are working in the field of frequencies, and most people do not understand the phenomena of using a wave to modulate another wave at a harmonic ratio to the initial wave for optimal harmonic resonance and coherence and efficiency in a system. And so, yeah, I wrote here, this is 911 to understand if you want to get the physics of frequency. And just to give 3 last examples, if you want to modulate the frequency, you could use a pitch shifter. If you want to modulate the amplitude, you could use a tremolo. If you want to modulate the time variable, you would use delay mod. And yeah, that's all I got.
You do that in a musical Tesla coil.
So with a frequency generating device is used both for physics and engineering, and it's also used for music. They're the same.
You can make your, I don't know if you've ever done this, you can make motors sing. You can make Tesla coils play AC/DC all day. You're literally overlapping the frequency. You're putting a rider wave on it, so it just rides on top of the other frequency, and it'll change it all. And then you can leech the frequency. So if I have high voltage DC and I put a Tesla coil field next to it, I can now take that DC field and change it completely. I can have it run exactly at the same frequency as, my Tesla coil field. And you can do, because it works on the magnetic part and it works on the static part and it works on the Tesla coil part, you're basically getting right into a gravity wave at that point. All of this has way deeper implications. You know what I mean? It's literally the fabric of our universe on modulating this stuff together.
Totally. Yeah, that's definitely a big point of interest is, how does one make gravity waves? How does one compress a field? How does one curve space-time? These are all questions that aspects of audio engineering can help us have the blueprint of the answer in a sonic format. So how do you create gravity waves?
Well, gravity wave is just basically RF and how you change it into a radiation field. So you compress your magnetic field and your static field in what looks like an RF field and push them down. The Tesla coil becomes a neutral in that field. As it's a neutral in that field, once you amplify that, then it takes everything and puts it in the same format. Now that it's in the same format, now you're in the Planck scale. And once you compress it even further, it goes like this. It goes boom, and then radiation comes out like this, and it amplifies this thing. So you can get 1,000 times the energy in this thing in order to create field bubbles and stuff. So yeah, you literally can create your own gravity with this. You can break open gravity with resonance. It's a frequency. It's 2 resonance frequencies and a beat frequency that you need to dislodge a bridge. So if we all want to take a bunch of people and go on the bridge, right? Then we need footsteps in one resonance frequency, footsteps in a second resonance frequency, and then as soon as you have that, they create a beat frequency between the two. And we can rip any bridge out of the fabric of gravity just by doing it.
Totally. And that, I guess the name of that in science would be like destructive interference, right? Because you have constructive interference where 2 waves are amplifying each other, and then you have destructive interference where they're literally destructing each other.
So it's like the 0, the 1, and the 2, right? So you get like a deconstructive, constructive, deconstructive as you build it, and it depends on how many resonance patterns you put into it, whether you're getting constructive or deconstructive when it comes to that level. Because frequency is great, but in order to get it to amplify things, you have to put it in pairs. You know what I mean? And then go from one to the next, and put it in resonance.
Totally. It's all about the ratios between the frequencies. Absolutely.
Yeah, I was talking to Joe about this, about the Mandelbrot set and stuff like that, and how everything creates that funnel. And you have to create the funnel on the top and bottom, and one deconstructs while the other constructs. While in the center, they call it a null zone, but it's actually the zone of everything. It's the programming state for everything there is in the universe when it comes to 0 point.
So. Totally. And that's the stillness in the storm, right? The center of the cyclone is the ultimate point of stillness. And everything you also described with generating gravity waves, it's also the exact same concept of what happens to us when we meditate. When we meditate and are putting all of our cells, all of everything is coming to the same speed through stillness, that's when the true magnetism, the true power, the true gravity waves start to emanate and radiate from us. You know, eventually humans can become free energy devices because we'll be able to tap into that internal coherence that enables us to generate all that energy, right?
Well, think about it. You got valves in the heart, right? What are they doing? They're in resonance with each other, 2 at a time, going off one and the other. You got energy that goes throughout your entire body. You're literally creating resonance throughout your entire body. So you're putting yourself in the state where everything's coherent in your body. Okay? And then when you go into nature, it matches you, right? Or you match it, however you want to say that. But if you're really sensitive to this stuff, everything that's incoherent bothers you. It gives you headaches. It bothers you. You're upset all the time. You're moody. Things like that. Joe's like that. My buddy that we do a show with, he's like that. He everything affects him, right? I'm the opposite of that. Nothing really affects me because I can't hear it. So,
oh my goodness. And I feel like the direction that humanity's moving in the collective is that people are going to be getting more and more sensitive no matter where anybody's at right now. It's just going to get turned up. And then eventually you can't avoid it or escape it anymore. And I have been one of those people like your friend who I'm hyper sensitive, you know? So it's like, people who are hypersensitive actually have a lot of great information to share with the world on how to protect yourself from these radiation fields. And the number one piece of advice I have, other than hugging a tree, would be telling people, do not touch your laptop anymore. seriously, stop it. And the radiation that's absorbing into your bodies, your cells, your tissues is creating chaos in your cells' attempts to regenerate. And it's okay if you touch your laptop every day. There's a very easy fix. All you need to do is go on Amazon and buy a wired keyboard for $10 and a wired mouse, and you're going to save so much energy. Yeah, he's got one over there. You're going to save so much energy. Like, you'll notice it immediately. Like, brain fog will start to clear and energy will be higher. And yeah, it's super important and very easy to mitigate. So
I don't think people understand the reason why is behind that. It has to do with how you perspirate and stuff like that, the water that comes in and out of your body, right? Well, your body picks up frequency through all those receptors right there. So you how do I say this? You have like an MWO machine, which works on coils and putting things on the outside of your body, right? Well, when you use the energy in mud and you put your hand onto the mud, you ground out the energy patterns and you just take the frequency into your body through every one of those little cells that for your sweat glands, right? Every one of those glands is your receptor. And if you understand that, then you understand why people are sensitive to things. So it immediately picks up frequency. It's not a little bit, it's a lot. And it happens right through that gland, right in your hands, right in your body, or when you touch things, you know what I mean? Every single part of it goes right through there. And that's how you affect the inside versus affecting the outside.
yes, and if any of you have read the work of Wilhelm Reich, he speaks a lot about the energy field of the human body and the ability we have to generate energy fields with our hands as one of the most potent forms of power we have as humans. And I seriously believe that hand sanitizer is like depleting and diminishing your hands' ability to perceive these fields, which I've been doing Reiki since 2018. I've been ordained with the Reiki power, and it's something I'm very passionate about. I do it every single day. And it's the ability to use your hands to sense energy fields and to increase the density of energy fields and to move energy fields with 100% tangibility of feeling. None of it is speculation. You're feeling it all in real time. The energy signature of what you're tuning into. And yeah, that's a whole other wormhole.
Well, it's a giant wormhole, by the way.
Gonna have to have you back for an episode just on that, as my mom is an energy healer and medium and goes deep into that, but I need to learn more about the Reiki aspects of it, because I've never really, it's fascinated me, but I've never looked into it. I quickly just wanted to go over and show, have you ever seen these hydrogen wave probabilities charts? And they match pretty identical along the lines of the coherent wave geometry ratios of dimensions that you're doing. And that I believe bridging the two is going to be the key to, well, shaping and manifesting energy out of matter and vice versa.
Yeah, I've seen these a lot, and I've also seen one called the periodic, or it's like a periodic table of some of the wave probabilities of all of the elements. Have you seen that one?
I'm not sure if I have. I think you're going to have to.
Let me find it real quick. I mean, my computer's being really slow. We should do like a whole.
We're going to have to do a series.
Yeah, yeah, my computer is on its last limb over here. But yes, I do think that when you're dealing with the resonance of subatomic particles, I think there's a lot of information to gather on what elements resonate in different, with what frequency. However, I have been faced with multiple systems. For example, Walter Russell's system, and there's about 5 or 6 more of systems that are posing to create correspondences between molecules and frequencies. And it's not that simple, like, because again, yeah, there's been many different states of each particle. So to create a one-to-one correspondence of a frequency to an element, I think there's more to it. There's more multidimensional layers. And yeah, in the future, for sure, I can go into a few of those other systems attempting to create correspondences between not only bandwidths of light or color, but also elemental particles. So I've been delving deep, and there's so many like systems that we need to deep dive into before coming to any kind of a conclusion here. But yeah.
Absolutely. And yeah, we are in so many parallel fields of research, and I'm laughing a bit at my chat because there's a bunch of people that are like, she's got to be AI, she's not real, like freaking out. So we're gonna have to definitely get you to Tesla Tech just to prove that you are a real human, although we already know that.
Oh, that's funny.
I do usually like keeping it to the 2-hour mark.
Yeah.
So if that's all right. But when are you free again? Because we have to have you, like I said, we got to do a series because there's just so much to it. And your amazing work, and have to then also come up with some experiments of cross-pollinating the sort of work that I'm doing, what Nathan's doing, especially everything that you're doing, and be able to apply it and expand it out.
Absolutely. I would love to meet with you guys again and take more deep dives into all of these different realms of creating devices and exploring universes. So yeah, let's do it.
Absolutely. And making wormholes, that's gonna be the ultimate goal, creating some portals. And yeah, we didn't even get into, I saw at the beginning of the comments, one of the people on your channel about work you did with the petroglyphs as well. And that's just, there's so many deep dives and topics to cover. So stick around for 1 minute if you don't mind once we're done, and we will try to figure out the next one.
Alrighty.
All right.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much everybody who was watching. It was my pleasure to talk about this stuff. It's the most exciting, fun, joyful thing I could be doing. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You crazy mother. Yeah.
It's just BurnEye.
Hey, BurnEye just like last week, huh?
Weekend at Bernie's.